I think it's an incredibly bad look for people to complain about football being on when it's not good. And
It's football still.
down the road, like our grandkids are gonna be like, don't mind Grandpa Molly. He lived through COVID. It's like how they talk about people who are frugal. It's like, grew up in the Depression. He had to scrimp and save. But like, we legitimately didn't have sports for all summer. I lived through it, man. You guys lived through it, so don't bitch about bad football because this is not great football at all at this time. But I mean, there's some positives somewhere in there, I'm sure, if you dug deep enough. I was just saying to producer Dan that um, the Panthers defense is playing their hearts out. They're kind of playing with a lot of fervor. I don't know. Are you watching both games? I haven't had the Browns game on at all, even though that's the one I actually have bets in.
Yeah, watching both games, and not inspiring football per se, but like you said, it's football, so we should probably enjoy it. We have two. It's Tuesday night. We'll be aching for anything. Maction.
Yeah.
We'll be dying for some action. So, yeah, I mean, look, it hasn't been great. We were 6 quarters of young Bryce Young, and it has not been inspiring. He's holding on to the football too long. He's played 6 quarters. He'll figure it out. He has maybe the worst collection of a supporting cast in terms of offensive skill makers in the league. There are a few teams that are in the team picture as well, but the Panthers are definitely in the mix there. Defensively, they're fun. I mean, look, I'm sure you guys have spent a lot talking about Elijah Evero, who wisely declined the interim job in Denver last year. And then, looked to get out as soon as he could. That guy will be a head coach soon. He's able to do a lot with a little. He'll be able to coach them up. They'll be competitive. They'll be in some games they probably shouldn't be in. But look at the Saints do the same thing. Like Dennis Allen is a dude that always just kind of finds a way, and they scheme up wins all over the place, third downs, and Derek Carr hasn't looked particularly sharp. But hey, it's football, and not a great start in the other one either. We had that pick, basically a fumbled pick that got returned for a pick 6. Not great football, but a good amount of Nick Chubb, obviously, with Cam Hayward out on the Pittsburgh side to start. But yeah, that one's just getting started, and quarterback play's not great now in either. But hey, like you said, not going to complain. I lived through COVID, Andy.
Yeah, I had an under 41 in that Cleveland game, which is about 3 full points of CLV, and that's even more than you're moving into the 30s. Those 3 points are worth like 4 or 5 if you're up in the 40s. So
yeah.
So I joked with the Discord guys. I'm like, so what if you guys want to bet on like opening kickoff touchdown, yes, or whatever fluky thing? And I was close. I was pretty close. Essentially, I think it was the first play from scrimmage. I wasn't watching yet at that point. I went to the bathroom and came back, so it was 7-0. And it was the wrong team because I knew Cleveland started with the ball. But yeah, the Derek Carr play hasn't been great. He's been holding the ball a little too long. Again, I do want to give a lot of credit to this defense. Luvu and Burns up front are great. They have some pieces, but they're missing a starting corner. They lost Horn for some time.
Yeah,
it's not a superstar set of defense to begin with. It's crazy. They're flying around. They're hitting hard. They're getting to the ball quick. They're playing really inspired football. And I mean, obviously it's coming to show at least in the red zone and with the turnovers. But I mean that turnover was 100% on Carr.
Yeah.
Was it Von Bell?
No, it was no, it was Xavier Woods, I think.
One of the guys, either way, whatever guy, the safety playing up in the box, and then he just starts floating back, and he's just standing there playing center field on this ball that, I mean, there was it was like double coverage plus him. So really bad decision by Derek Carr. You got to be better than that if you're a veteran. They bring you in to lead this team. You're supposed to be a playoff team. I bet this fucking team to win the division earlier this morning for some reason. I just started looking at schedules.
What numbers you get by this morning? What'd you bet?
There was a 155 at FanDuel this morning. Obviously, some of the offshores, the price wasn't nearly as good, but there were some decent prices. I got, I think, a 150 and a 135, 2 different places. So I guess we need this. We kind of need this one. This is a divisional game. Second half totals 18.5. Saints are favored by 1.5. Again, I was saying this to producer Dan before we got into it. I was kind of hoping that the Panthers were going to score off that interception because basically any drive that started deep in their in their territory outside of the early one with some of the scripting has looked pretty rough from just play sequencing, play calling, and I'm like, man, if the Saints are down at half, I kind of want to bet them. I'm not excited about betting the Saints to extend this lead at this point. The offense does not look great, especially in the red zone. I don't know if I'm just betting an under here, and that's a low number. That's fucking what do you call the bar you go under? Why can't I think of the name of that? The limbo bars at the floor here.
Yeah, it's a pretty low. It's kind of in the middle of some key numbers too, right? You're, kind of in a dead zone, 18 and a half, right? You're on the other side of 17. You're a little shy of 20. So you need, you essentially need 4 scores in the game somewhere to be found. Key injuries on both sides. I mean, I haven't seen any injury update on Jamal Williams. Saw him walking back to the locker room. Shaq Thompson, the linebacker, wears the green dot, like kind of the main coach on the field. He got carted off. It's a big injury for the Panthers in terms of what we can expect for the second half. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like you're probably the right side, just better team at a point and a half. That happens, you're probably going to see some points. Doesn't feel like a ton of value to me. Like it's something that we need to tell everyone to get on because this is going to move a little bit. Like, yeah, team total 9.5 on the Panther side. Like again, you're kind of, if you have any optimism in the Panthers, you're on the right side of the key number there. That could be of interest, but I don't know.
I was thinking about going under on that. It would take another turnover, I think, get them 2 scores, one of them being in the end zone.
Yeah.
I'm thinking here because it's a tough one. We did this last night. We couldn't come up with much of anything, and everything I spat out of my mouth turned into just absolute shit. And somebody in the chat came up with like a player prop. And it was like Kendrick Bourne over 3.5 catches, where I bet that was like plus 130. That ended up cashing. So,
I mean, I might be able to help here in that frame. Let me see what we have here. Let me look at some live lines. I was able to add. I added Pete Warner, linebacker for the Saints, over 7.5 at like plus.
We're doing live defensive stats.
Live tackle props. Pete Warner is 7.5 at minus 110 in the over. I don't mind that at all. I've been very, very active. Again, this is partially like it. You need Carolina to sustain some drives, right? We were talking pre-show before about like, I had some bad run out with Caden Ellis on the Falcons yesterday. Part of it was because the Panthers or the Packers ran like 42 offensive snaps. So, good tackle projections die pretty quickly if teams can't stay on the field. And that sometimes is something you have to factor in there. But yeah, he's been very active and is, a prominent player for them. But player prop wise, anything offensively is pretty tough right now. I mean, Carr last year was 3rd in the league in average depth of target. Everyone was surprised last week. He led the league in average depth of target. And it's like, no, this is actually kind of his thing last year. Like he's kind of evolved as he's got into, get a little more comfortable. He's not the dink and dunk guy that we kind of remember. He will take shots deep. That's how Olave wins. If he can survive the pressure up front, like you said, from Luvu, Burns and company, they can give him a little time. Things that involve Chris Olave, longest reception, Olave yards. I could see that being a part of any Saints success in the second half.
I'm just going to bet the Saints. I
think it's probably the right side.
Yeah, the official bet is almost certainly no bet, but I'm just going to take a little on the Saints because there's a couple places are down to a half point. Let's see what the steam looks like here, and some of the sharper books it takes them. Honestly, I don't even know if like there's big money coming in on half times like this anyway. So, I mean, I wish I had this open. I'd like to see what it opened at, but it's just like Saints minus a half plus 105 for a little bit. So we'll call it that. I'm ride or die with Derek Carr. He looked very disappointed with himself after that interception. So
wasn't a good throw.
We're gonna get it right. He's gonna sort this out. They have so many more offensive weapons, and now we're missing J.C. Horn and Thompson, Shaq Thompson.
Shaq Thompson. Yeah.
Shin sounds like he's out for the game. I mean, was that your read? He got carted off. I mean,
I don't know what they're doing with him anyway.
Like
Yeah, like he's like, I don't know, it's a dude that like is a lot of fun. There, he's not limited snaps, but he's playing like 75% of the snaps. He should be an every down snap guy talent wise, theoretically. Like he could do a lot with him. I don't know if he had a bad camp or if Evero did not fall in love with him or whatnot, but yeah, him being out, like he is kind of a Swiss Army knife in terms of what they like to do, even though he's not a every down guy. So yeah, those are some pretty important injuries. It's a guy that can blitz off the edge, from the, like a box safety spot too, can play cover corner. So again, some pretty substantial injuries on the defensive side for Carolina.
Can't believe it. We've had like what, 3? Has there been 3 or 4 turnovers? There's only been 2. So that's the problem with 2 games going on at the same time. Like I start meshing the stats together.
Yeah,
I think there's been 4 turnovers combined, but yeah, the Browns have had an interception apiece, and the Saints, 4 turnovers already before halftime in these 2 games. Yeah, it has been a lot of the Mike Thomas show too. I'm not sure if he's hesitant to go deep. It's crazy that like the sequencing just isn't there, and some of these sacks that Carr has been taking have been just so damning for these drives because a lot of stuff is working. The Thomas stuff is working. The even the God, who's that, Foster Moreau stuff. Like there's things that are working. Honestly, for both teams are kind of hitting that short stuff, but all the Taysom Hill stuff outside of the one red zone touch, all that stuff was working pretty well. They just can't seem to string it together here. I'd like to see what their third down record is right now. 4 for 10. They are out first downing Carolina 12-4, but Carolina 3.8 yards per play. New Orleans 3.2. 3.2. That's like a Saints or a Bengals from last week kind of number.
Yeah, it's Justin Fields' number.
Yeah, 4 for 4. Got sawdust all over this hat. I was making a picture frame earlier.
That lettuce is solid for being under a hat all day too. It's looking good.
Yeah, it's not looking too bad today.
It's not bad being in a hat. Yeah.
I don't even know if this was so. The stream I had on is showing the Browns game now. Like I don't know, just like live look in. Did you see that though? I tweeted about it. They had the Saints field goal that they almost didn't come back from commercial for. They were doing like the thing they do to us in golf, Noonan, where it's like playing through.
Really?
Because they had a timeout, so they just kept it on the game, but they put the commercial on the side, and they were really close to not getting back. It's like watching your guy drain a long putt. There's no sound. You're watching a TD Ameriprise commercial or whatever the fuck it is. It's just the worst. Somebody had a great comment too about like maybe we'll get an interview with like one of the executives from the Carolina Panthers too, because that's what us golf.
Golf all the time. Yeah.
We want those interviews with like the
give me the head of Valspar instead of letting me watch
the GM of Workday.
Yeah, please. Yeah. I mean, look, I think you said it well at the top. We're probably not going to have much. The football is probably not going to be much better in the second half, but it's still football. And these things can die in the onslaught of a Sunday, and you can't we know how island games are. It just sometimes can be a bear, and either way they get overanalyzed because everyone's watching them because it's football. So yeah, I mean, hopefully these teams, again, still second game of the season, we typically see some rough patches. We see some teams every year. There's a bunch of teams that are 0-2. Some of these teams are going to make the playoffs. I don't know that a lot of teams playing tonight are making the playoffs, but maybe. It depends if they could stay healthy. Saints do have a good path. I like the number that you got down. So, yeah, hang in there, people.
Yeah, and real quick before we jet off for the night to watch the football again, somebody did ask a pretty good question about other moves from yesterday. Catch your eyes besides the Ram. Yeah, obviously the Rams, and it's funny too. I'm gonna have to go back and maybe I'll have Dan clip that. I don't even remember. This is my greatest flaw. I can do a 3-hour podcast and not remember a single word I said. Like I'll remember the concepts on why I bet stuff, but for a lot of times it's just like I don't remember saying any of these things. Like when did I say this? And I know I bet the Rams last night at 6. And I wonder how much of that was me leaning on hey, maybe Burrow doesn't even play. Because honestly, I just didn't think that number was fair. I think we need to upgrade the LA offense a ton. You got a Super Bowl winning quarterback and a really sharp offensive coordinator / head coach that kind of putting things together. Like have to keep updating that offense. So I was fine with the 6. I'm more than happy with it now, obviously, that we're sitting at whatever we are sitting now. Shaq Thompson out for the rest of the game, according to, if you don't have the FLA news updates on your phone, you were missing out. One of my favorite apps. And yeah, obviously the big totals move was the Vikings over. There was people looking at that look ahead, couldn't make sense of like the 49.5 50s. That went up to 54 now.
So 54.5 earlier today. Like, is it 50? Yeah. That's healthy.
A group came in on that Buffalo under that went to cross 45 key-ish, I guess,
that helped me a lot.
44.5. I'm going to bet that over again.
So I took the only bet that I made today was Bills team total over 26.5. Just being on the right side.
Got you under the 27.
Yeah. That's it. So I was looking, all I was looking for. I mean, the Commanders look good. I think they're a good team, right? That's an above average unit, but the Bills showed themselves a little bit last week. You get them, not against the Jets. The Commanders gave up 400 total yards to Russ, against they played the same team that the Bills ran all over the week before, the Raiders, and only able to score, garner like 260 yards against the Raiders. Like, I feel like the Commanders defense is beatable in a spot where very little travel for the Bills to just have to fly down to DC. Yeah. Commanders coming back from the West Coast and all that stuff. So like, I don't really worry about any travel stuff there. I like the 26.5 on the Bills.
I saw that bet. I love that. Especially, once you got under the 27, it makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
Miami, Denver had been bet up a little. There's some places that had 47. That's getting up to like a juicy 48.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that move. I might move on that if I can find the right price. I got to hunt around a little today. That's a Denver defense that just hasn't looked right. I don't think they're going to be nearly as good this year. They've struggled mightily, and now they're going to Miami. And if Russ gives you anything, and we saw some nice deep balls with Russ, like, it's still a Miami defense. It's very beatable. Like, that total should probably be 49 or 50. So yeah, I hate to be betting so many overs in a league that's been trending under a little bit, but we're still getting these 60-point games, guys. So
good thing about Denver too, in terms of like overs, they're playing faster. So that helps us quite a bit.
Yeah.
The pace is substantially different than last year, draining the clock, melting it out. Like, that helps a little bit. Probably why there's some optimism in the game, in the team total, or just the total in that market. So yeah, I can get there.
The fantasy, so it's the FLA app. The A stands for app, I think. It's just Fantasy Life. It's a fantasy football app, but they have the best alerts. You turn it on, turn on notifications, and you get every like roster and injury alert on your phone. It's basically like having alerts on for Schefter and everybody else and all the good beat reporters in the world, without having to get all their other bullshit tweets that you don't want to hear about. It's only the injury news, only the roster stuff. So no, that's and
like always, it's always first. It's like legit from like all the other aggregate apps out there in terms of like pushing news notifications. FLA app constantly dunking on all those other apps and being first. So yeah, it's free.
Super good. Definitely get that. I don't see a whole lot of other moves. A little bit of steam to the under. The Colts game, I guess. Unsure who the quarterback's going to be there.
Probably is it. That's the other team total that's jumping out at me. That Ravens team total under 27. It's 26.5 on the Ravens. That's appealing to me, especially if we do have Anthony Richardson and the pace is going to be up in that game. Like, I could see some back and forth there. I want to find ways to fade the Colts.
Just to answer that question too, because it's, well, why didn't they take it down off the board? I kind of wonder if books are sitting in the same spot I am. I don't have a huge difference. Anthony Richardson is obviously this huge ceiling guy, but he's very new.
Sure.
And Minshew, we know what he is. He's not great, but I don't have a huge difference between the two. Like, it's probably, I have Minshew as a drop off, but it's by like a half a point. So basically, and some of that drop off is going to be because of like it's just not the offense. The offense wasn't designed this year to have Gardner Minshew running it. They put together a really nice offense for Anthony Richardson at this point. So, I did take Baltimore in a teaser with the Steelers as well. So I have Baltimore -1.5, Steelers +8.5. I don't. The ball is greased today in the Steelers game, I guess. They've turned the ball over twice, like inside their own 25 now. I'm not sure they've scored off of it though. And that is now 4 turnovers in the Cleveland game so far. We are not that deep into the second quarter.
It's not great.
We're not. Are we even in the second quarter? I don't know where we're at with that. Jesus. So, all right, yeah, we'll get back to the game. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Thank you, Noonan, for joining in.
Appreciate it, buddy.
I was at the first quarter still. Okay, I'll see you guys on Wednesday.